Hey there, guys. So, back with another movie review now. I almost don't even know where to start on this one. And if I sound as if I'm bored or if I sound wound up at all, it's because I just went to see one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life. And it's fucking insane because I looked at some reviews for this movie. It got pretty much a mixed response from critics and more of a negative response from audiences. But there are a lot of people that like this movie. And going into this movie, I'd seen a couple of the trailers, and I didn't really think much of it. When I was at the theatre today, I didn't really plan on seeing anything. I just thought, I'd have a look and then I'd see what's on. And we decided to watch Red Sparrow. It was the only thing that was on at that time, and man, guys, I'm flabbergasted. I'm absolutely fucking bewildered. I don't know what to say. I almost don't want to believe how bad this movie is. I don't know where to begin. Where the fuck do I begin with this movie? Let's try and get into it. Before I get into the plot, let me just talk about a few of the things that were a problem with this movie. Now, there were four or five huge issues with this movie, but let me talk about one of the minor issues. And this is going to sound like a big issue, but believe me, this movie was so bad that this is one of the minor issues. The way that this movie was advertised is that this Red Sparrow, this Russian infiltration agent played by Jennifer Lawrence, is supposed to be this, super intelligent, seductive, elusive, badass, intelligent Russian spy who's like she's kind of a temptress, who's sent in to seduce people and to, spy on people and get information, this, that, and the other. Guys, this movie's nothing like that. This character is nothing like that. Now, she's supposed to be, but she's not. She is, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst secret agent I've ever seen in a movie. Certainly the most incompetent secret agent I've ever seen in a movie. Basically, the gist of it is she goes on one mission. Guys, I'm not even exaggerating here. She goes on one single mission. One mission. She fucks up in the matter of seconds. The target who she's supposed to be pursuing, who's this American agent, who's colluding with somebody in Russia, a mole in the Russian government, and they're trying to find out who this mole is. The American agent spots her before the mission even begins, before she even knows who this guy is or what she's supposed to do, or before she's even able to follow him. He spots her immediately. Her cover is blown in seconds. He approaches her, he messes her around a little bit. He basically flips this whole script on her. She fails miserably, and he immediately starts messing with her. He immediately manipulates her. I'm talking within minutes. She falls in love with this guy. He seduces her. He manipulates her, and ultimately leads to her betraying her country. I am not shitting you guys. That is the plot of this movie. The Red Sparrow is the worst secret agent of all time. She's a traitor. She's fucking stupid. She's weak. She gets beaten the fuck up the whole movie. She gets raped. She gets treated like a fucking bitch. She's literally a bitch. This character is not a secret agent. She's not a badass. She's not a spy. She's a bitch. She gets used and manipulated and abused this whole movie. If they were trying to use this movie to try and push feminism, because somebody said to me that, it was just another feminist movie. Honestly, no, it wasn't. This movie portrays women as weak, as stupid, as manipulated, and as just complete morons. Honestly, she's useless. The main character in this movie, played by Jennifer Lawrence, is a fucking idiot. And, I mean, let's get into how the movie is introduced. So, she's a ballet dancer. Okay, so she hasn't been some, decorated spy who's been doing this, most of her life, obviously a lot of Russian agents would be. They'd obviously have been identified while they're young and indoctrinated while they're young. She's a ballet dancer, and quite a popular ballet dancer too, which again doesn't make sense in the context of the story, because if so many people have seen her dance and have seen her on stage, already that's going to blow her cover, because if she's trying to be a secret agent going under some false identity, wouldn't that mean that a lot of people are going to recognize her? And again, that's a major plot hole, but it doesn't even matter because there are so many more plot holes that I won't even get into because it would just take too long. But I mean, man, the plot of this movie sucked. It really did. Didn't make any sense. But yeah, like I said, she's a ballet dancer, and she ends up in what appears at first to be an accident. She ends up, her partner kicks her in the leg, and her leg ends up broken. It ruins her career. A few minutes later, it skips to several months in the future, and she finds out that her partner and his lover, who was planning to replace her, they basically set her up. He intentionally kicked her in the leg and intentionally broke her leg, which was obvious anyway, so that's not even a spoiler. He intentionally broke her leg in order to get her off the dance floor so that they could then replace her with his lover, basically. So while him and his lover are in a changing room having full-on sex, there's a lot of sex in this movie, by the way, and I'll get to that later. She's half crippled. Bear this in mind, Jennifer Lawrence's character is half crippled. She's limping all over the place. She can't go anywhere without this stick. She goes into the changing room while these two people are fucking and beats them to death with the stick. Guys, she beats these two people. She's a fucking ballerina. She's never been in a fight in her life. She's never, had a history of violence or anything like that. She's just, supposedly at this point, she's just a normal girl. She beats a grown man and his lover to death with a stick while she's half crippled. Now, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. It seems really, really pantomime to me. It seems, first of all, why did she beat them to death? I get that they betrayed her and set her up, and obviously she'd be pissed off and should seek revenge, but would she beat them to death with a stick? Would a character like her do that? I just don't buy it. I mentioned that there's a lot of sex in the movie. Well, first of all, if you're into that sort of thing, that's not a problem. It's not the sex in the movie that bothered me. What bothered me is the fact that this is one of those movies, and there's a lot of movies like this, where the movie is kind of boring. The dialogue is really stale, and there's not a whole lot that's entertaining. There's no action in the movie whatsoever, despite the scene where she beats the people to death and a couple of slasher-type scenes. There's nothing really... There's no real fight scenes in this movie, so the movie wasn't really enough to keep people gripped. So they try to use nudity and, sex and all that kind of stuff in order to keep you interested. And look, that's not for everybody. That's my point is, if a movie's boring, if a script is boring, you're not going to keep people interested by showing ass and tits every 2 seconds. I mean, yeah, fair, Jennifer Lawrence has got a nice pair of tits, but that's not gonna keep everybody interested. All right, I don't go to the cinema hoping, I hope I see a big pair of tits in this movie. I hope I see a nice ass in this movie. I hope I see a fucking dick and balls in this movie, which you do see at one point. Guys, this movie was fucking terrible. I was in a theatre, and there was quite a lot of people there. I was there with my missus, and there was quite a few old people there and a few couples. Nobody seemed interested. Honestly, everybody seemed as if they were falling asleep. The movie was that boring. So boring, so tedious. The movie didn't really know what it wanted to be. Sometimes it felt as if it was like a slasher porno, like people are fucking and all of a sudden there's blood everywhere, people getting beaten to death, that type of thing, which some people like, most people don't, but other times it felt like a drama, like some kind of romance drama. Other times it felt like, some boring political movie. There's a lot of, it's very talky. A lot of scenes where people just talk and talk and talk and talk absolute garbage that you don't care about. And it's not even interesting dialogue. Fake as fuck Russian accents. These actors with their accents, man. Oh, Jennifer Lawrence trying to play a Russian. It was cringeworthy, man. Cringeworthy acting. I'm serious. I mean, people say that Scott Adkins isn't a good actor when he tries to play a Russian. He's a heck of a lot better than the people in this movie. A heck of a lot better than Jennifer Lawrence, I'll tell you that right now. And the performances from the rest of the cast was just forgettable, so I'm not even going to mention any of the other characters. I'm going to focus on who the movie was focusing on, which is Jennifer Lawrence. I haven't seen a whole lot of her other movies, but, judging by this, not a very good actress at all. I know that she played Mystique in those terrible, garbage, fucking atrocious X-Men reboot movies, which I have no interest in. I know that she was in those movies. Fuck am I ever watching them? I seen the first one. It was bad enough. I don't want to see the rest of them. Yeah, she was garbage in that movie too. And obviously she was in the Hunger Games too, which I didn't really care for much. So yeah, I mean, look, it seems to me as if they're relying on one thing. They're relying on her set of tits and her ass in order to just keep guys interested in the movie. And look, guys, I don't go to the cinema to see that. Okay, I'm sure if I wanted to see Jennifer Lawrence's tits, I could find another way to see them rather than going and pay to see this movie. Oh, guys, I don't know what to say. This was a depressing movie. Thought I'd make a rant about it. Look, I could scream and shout and try and get more views by just ranting and raving. But to be honest, guys, I don't have the energy in me for that. I really don't. Such a terrible movie, such a terrible script. I cannot believe that this received a 49% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, man. I think it was 49 anyway. Well, whereas a movie like The Commuter, which was an excellent movie, really, really good movie with good dialogue and good action and a really, really thrilling plot. It was at least a decent time waster. That movie, I think, only got 50% or 55%. So, I mean, and I know that's more than 49, but it isn't more by much. That's the difference between like one critic review would make it 4 or 5 points more. I think that's how it works anyway. So yeah, a movie like the Commuter gets 55%, but this garbage gets 49%. I mean, oh, so much dishonesty. This movie sucked. First of all, I mean, like I said, it was based in Russia. Very, very anti-Russian. Russians in movies for God knows how long as I can remember, have always been portrayed as evil and have always been portrayed as oppressive people and just bad people in general. That doesn't change here. I expected that from this movie. Like I said, she betrays the Russians, as you all knew she would. Who didn't see that coming, eh? She betrays the Russians and falls in love with this American who plays her like the bitch that she is, basically, like the idiot that she is, and convinces her to betray her people. And, there's a few shitty torture scenes where, a guy basically gets a towel, puts it to her face, and then starts smacking her with a metal pole. They drench her in freezing water, all that kind of shit. Pointless torture scenes. There was no reason in the context of the plot for them to do that in the first place. There was no reason for those torture scenes. It was just to try and make you feel for the character, and it didn't. I didn't like the main character of this movie. She was a fucking idiot, and I really didn't get a secret agent vibe. I didn't really get a, if this movie was trying to appeal to feminists, I don't see how, because it treated women like shit. And it was just a shit movie. Shit, 100% shit. 1 out of 10. This movie gets a 1 out of 10. Sorry, guys, 1 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think about this. Depressing as fuck, I know. Thanks for watching.